What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Hegemony, entitled Enthroned by Persecution. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Birmingham, Alabama, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, dark, violent hybrid of both black metal and death metal. My first introduction to this band was almost 4 years ago when I saw this band play live at a local show called Winter Hell 2. To the best of my knowledge, they were the only out-of-state band to play this show, because this show had a really, really stacked lineup of awesome local Texas bands like Maestas, Obeisance, Funeral Ash, just to name a few. And what I did know about this project is they had put out a demo of 3 songs, and that some of the people involved in this project also played in Ectovoid, which is another really fantastic death metal band. If you haven't heard them already, I would highly recommend that you do so. But Hegemony was something completely different. They had a different look, a different sound, a different appearance. There were hoods, there were spikes, there were masks. You really didn't know who some of these people were, to be honest. And they put on a really, really memorable performance. I mean, if you go back in the 2016 era of my channel, I have a live clip of them playing stuff from what would eventually turn out to be their full-length album that they were working on. And they had an absolutely killer sound. It was raw, it was primitive, it was in your face, and that's what I really enjoyed about Hegemony's style and sound, and I saw some unbelievable potential to be had from them. But now, all this time later, we have the very first full-length album from Hegemony, entitled Enthroned by Persecution. It's 8 tracks, and it clocks in at around 32.5 minutes in length. And pretty much with this album, it's really all substance, all style, all mixed together perfectly in a pretty short little package. But you get the absolute best out of Hegemony here in terms of musical stylings, in terms of riffs, in terms of artwork, in terms of lyrics, in just terms of altogether being a violent black death metal band. And they get the job done here perfectly with this album. Lots of killer creativity coming forward with this album in terms of the riffs, in terms of the guitar playing. You hear it on the opening moments of Exalted March to Decimation, and then later on in the album with the Halter of Bloodlines, Fist of Heretical Triumph, and Ruination Sacrifice. Just some really, really awesome stuff to be heard with these guitar riffs. Very loud, pummeling bass tones, very rattling sorts of sounds being done there. You hear it throughout this entire album, and it really is unrelenting. I mean, I love that for the first half of Exalted March to Decimation, you get some instrumental leading ups to what eventually will become an absolutely killer track, but the lead-ins and the suspense on that track with the musical stylings being done there is just impressive as hell. I really, really love that added element of suspense with some of these tracks and lead-ups. The drumming on here is fantastic. I absolutely love this drum performance a lot. It feels very natural. It feels very relaxed, very comfortable, but at the same time still very crushing. I love the snare tone. I love the blasting. I love the energy. I love the pace. I mean, this is a very well-paced album, and this drummer definitely continues and gets his footings in with this drum performance to make things sound all the more impressive. And when it comes to the vocals, there's just a lot of rumbling, grumbling, guttural vocals coming out of this guy's voice. I mean, it's very understandable, very decipherable. You hear him do his low, bellowing growls, almost a little bit of a early incantation sort of vibe going on here, Onward to Golgotha sort of styles of vocals going on here. But then as the vocals continue to build up and become more manic and depraved. You get some sort of mid-range sort of growling and screams going on here with these vocals, and I definitely think that this vocal performance is very wild and very primitive, just like the music that plays behind him. It is just that entertaining to listen to. So overall, Hegemony have delivered a very impressive debut full-length album. It was well worth the wait from their first demo all the way to now, and I would highly recommend this album if you are into primitive, raw, black death metal. Hegemony have delivered a very impressive debut full-length, and I'm looking forward to hearing more great things from them in the future. So, if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Exalted March to Decimation, Rise in Turmoil, Driven by Hedonistic Vice. I mean, some of the songs that were on the demo are on this album, and they absolutely wiped the floor with those demo recordings. Fist of Heretical Triumph and Desecration Paradigm is another really top-notch track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box of how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Hegemony Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it by digitally and is available physically in a wide multitude of physical formats. CD, cassette, limited 12-inch vinyl, lots of ways to get a hold of this album. So again, the album is Enthroned by Persecution by Hegemony. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Very impressive debut from Hegemony going on here. If you've happened to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it. Or any of you guys into Hegemony, definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army Ho out.